Welcome to the Couples Academy live show. Today is relationship Q&A, so join us now.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Couples Academy Live. My name is Hassani.
I'm Danielle.
And we love coming to you every single Friday because this is the day where we engage in conversation about topics that you're interested in. What questions do you have? Some of you have been struggling throughout the course of the week trying to figure out how to make it through. And you wish you had access to someone that could give you some information that will make a difference in your life. And so that's what we dedicate Fridays to. And so we see you all as you're coming in. Please let us know where you're calling in from. We would love that. But listen, what are you dealing with today? What is your struggle? What is your affliction? Is it communication? Is it sexuality? Is it intimacy? Is it finances? Is it knowing how to parent your children? Is it just knowing how to make a decision? Whatever that is, this is your day. So Danielle, let's just talk about it. What are some of the issues that you constantly see people struggling with that they're always in need for help?
Interestingly, right now, it's everything dealing with the emotions. And I don't think it's a coincidence, all the things that we're going through with this pandemic, and people being isolated and just feeling like things are not normal. You have counselors working their tails off, dealing with mental health issues. And so our emotions are out of whack. And you think about the fact that most of us were kind of in a fog before the pandemic because we were just going, routine as normal. And that shakeup can cause a big disruption in your life. And so we have couples that are struggling with how they feel, anger, all these different emotions, not being able to forgive, not being able to forget, and just not being able to get over it. And I was thinking about this last night because, even for myself, I think about this pandemic and how I keep saying to myself, okay, stop thinking I can't wait till things get back to normal. I think that mindset in and of itself makes you sit, right? And so we're kind of stagnant. And I think this is playing into people's relationships. There's this stagnancy while we're waiting on things to get back to normal. We aren't standing up, accepting that we have all the authority in the world to make a change and make a decision and get on with working out these emotions that we're experiencing and that we're feeling.
And so emotions is a difficult it's difficult to process through your own emotions. And then when you're trying to recover and restore your relationship with your spouse, when you are soaked and saturated in emotion, it is hard to make headway because the one thing about emotions and feelings, they're not necessarily logical. They're not analytical. You're operating from the heart rather than from the head. It's a difference. So try to find that balance and then have conversations that move you forward is always the challenge. And so there's so many techniques and there's so many steps and strategies that one can take to get control of their emotions so that they can make sound decisions for their life and for their marriage.
Yeah, I think it revolves around the idea of we've got to make conscious decisions. And a lot of times the fact is that we're not conscious about our emotions. They come upon us and we welcome them, right? So if I am, feeling down and feeling sad, I can live in that feeling. I really can. I'm the type of person, Hassani co-signed this. I'm always saying I'm bored. I'm just so bored. This is so boring. I can either decide to stay bored or I can get up and find something to do, right? These are emotions. And what happens is that we forget that we have the power. We have the authority. We don't have to stay in those emotions. And that does not neglect the fact that our emotions are real. Our emotions are very much real to us, but it's also very real that you can do something about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have people chiming in. Good morning. You made it live. We're glad that you're on this morning. Rhea Sabat Shalom from Australia.
Hi.
Love it. Love it. Reach out to us. We would love to talk to you. Renard, good morning. Good morning. Kathy from Virginia. Good to see you.
Kathy.
Claire, trying to move forward is just as scary and painful as the first pain of finding out. Scared to trust again.
Yes.
And I think that's so true, because trust is really one of the biggest challenges that people struggle with. It's one of the hardest things to restore in a marriage as you're trying to move forward. We talk about the recovery phases and stages that one has to go through, and trust is really a foundational building block. And when you could begin to trust again, then all of us see. Now, here's the deal. The foundation of trust is safety and security. When you can begin to feel safe again and secure again, then trust naturally begins to enter back into the relationship. And so the key is, if you have been unfaithful to your partner, if you have betrayed your partner, if you have lied or deceived your partner, the only way that they can begin to trust you again is if you create an environment of safety and security.
And so sorry to bring this a bad cloud to that, but the hurt partner also is going to have to operate with some level of abandon. And I gave this analogy to someone the other day, and it was really helpful to them. So I'm going to share it here. And that is, when you go to camp, I used to go to camp when I was a kid. It was called Grassroots, and it was not a camp you wanted to send your kids, because all counselors were like teenagers and they didn't know what they were doing. But anywho, at camp, we would do these exercises. They would basically take one kid and bring them into the center of a circle, blindfold them, spin them a little bit, and then say, okay, fall back, right? And so this kid who does not have any sense of where they are, they're totally discombobulated, has to fall back and trust that someone's going to catch them. Now, in your mind, you're probably thinking about all the kids that's in your group. The one that okay, if I'm in front of this one, I know they're going to catch me. But if I'm in front of this one, they're going to try to drop me on for sure, right? Nevertheless, you have to trust, you have to fall back. So the kid falls back, he's caught. Awesome, right? It was great. It was exhilarating, the energy of it. You want to do it again. So now you have this faith. You want to fall back as many times, because it's like a roller coaster ride, the adrenaline rush, and then somebody catches you, that feeling of falling. But what happens if the kid gets dropped and hits the ground, right? And then they say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm not going to do that again. Let me try that again. Let me try that again. So they stand the kid up. The kid is like dusting stuff out of his hair and kind of scared. He's got to fall again. He falls. He gets dropped. If this kid keeps getting dropped, he's going to have no sense of security. Nothing in his world has told him that this is safe to try again. All his security is down. So you got two people, one person that's feeling secure, wants to do it again. And you got another kid that is terrified to fall because they don't believe that you will catch them. And that's what happens when there is a breach of trust in your relationship and you're asking the person to trust you again. They don't have any sense that you're going to trust. And so there's a lot. The truth is that they've got to do so much. They've got to go above and beyond in order for you to even consider trusting. But you will always have to operate with some sense of abandon. You are always going to have to experience the terror of falling. And if you refuse to fall again, you will never open the door to be able to feel the euphoric feeling of being caught. You have to trust again. And that is so terrifying. Like the last comment said, that moment is terrifying because you know what it feels like to fall. But in order for you to heal past the moment that you are in, you have to fall again and trust God that you will be caught.
That's a powerful point, because it's a decision you have to make internally for yourself. And it's scary and it's uncomfortable and you're not sure what's going to happen. But that's what the Bible says when it talks about we walk by faith and not by sight. And sometimes you have to step out on faith and be willing to give something a try. I think, wow, that's powerful. So the onus is on the individual who struggles with trust.
Always. It's just so unfair. And I say it all the time because it is. And Hassani, personality types play a big part in this, because I'm the type of person where I just like fairness, right? I hate people who don't have integrity or who are hypocritical. I like things to be fair. So I get the work involved for the hurt person, but I'm also very much a realist. And my thing is, you decided to stay. You decided to move forward.
Mhm.
Whatever moment that was where God came and spoke to you, you prayed and something said, there's hope. I've got a little bit of hope. We can try this again. That is the big girl decision or big guy decision that you made. And now you have to walk the course. And the course is full of obstacles, is full of landmines, is full of danger zones. But you've got to walk the course. There's no escaping it.
Wow. Listen, that deserves a pause. That was a mic drop. And that's something that I want everybody to digest, because oftentimes the person who is hurting puts the majority of the responsibility on the person who hurt you.
Yeah.
And it's a shared responsibility, and both of you have a different role to play. Your partner can't play your role and you can't play your partner's role. And as long as your partner is doing what he or she needs to do and you're doing what you need to do, healing will begin to take place. So thank you for sharing that, because I think we all need to hear that from time to time, because if we don't, then we get trapped and stuck in our pain. I kind of talk about how if you've ever driven a car and let's just say you got stuck in mud and you're trying to get out of it, and you're pushing the gas pedal, but those wheels are just spinning and spinning and spinning, and there's no traction. You can't move forward. Well, then you're stuck. Yeah. Well, the traction is taking responsibility for your own self as your partners with you in doing what he or she needs to do, and that way you both win. So powerful point. We have another question from TRT. Good morning, guys. How do I love in the way you've been teaching, at the same time healing from being cheated on without my spouse thinking that I'm taking it lightly because of showing a godly love towards them? I get that question. So the question ultimately is, I want to show the love of God demonstrated in our marriage, the way you've been teaching, but I don't want my spouse to think that I'm a softie and he gets a pass or she gets a pass for bad behavior. What's the fine balance? Well, I think, number one, how do you show the love of God? Well, by making sure that the love of God is within you. Like what we're talking about, these aren't things that we can naturally do in our own humanity, because you have to understand, we have two natures in us. We have our divinity and we have our humanity. Our human side wants to please itself. The divine side within us wants to please God. And so when you're operating in your own humanity or in your lower nature or in your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, then you're always going to do things that serve you. Self-protection, self-preservation, how's it make me feel? But when you begin to do things in your divine nature, the divine nature seeks to please God. And when you have the love of God and you embrace the laws of God. Now, remember, the love of God is in your heart. The laws of God are in your head. And the balance between those two allow you to effectively execute love in that particular relationship. Meanwhile, it's important for you to have ongoing conversations to let your spouse know that they don't get a pass.
Right.
Just because you're showing up in the right way and doing the right thing, that doesn't excuse them from their responsibility of doing what they need to do to number one, work on themselves, and number one, be a healer. Now understand, if you are the offender, your role is to help heal your partner for what they've gone through. So I can't say, oh, well, Danielle's good, so I'm good. No, I've got to realize that I've got an ongoing responsibility that never ends to restore the love, to restore the trust, to prove myself to be worthy, to develop my character and integrity, and to help build a healthy foundation for a long-lasting, mutually beneficial, a closed relationship. That is my role. And so your niceness should not justify his or her inability to show up the right way.
Absolutely. But I always say, or not but and to add to Hassani's point, one monkey don't stop no show, right? So that means that because of our human nature and our weaknesses, in any given week, we can fall off the tracks. The person that is supposed to be meeting the needs of your hurt partner, going the extra mile, like Hassani is explaining, is not going to get it right every day. Number one, you have your lenses on, so you're going to perceive certain things as something else quite often. All right. But still, our human nature, sometimes we're just not going to do right. So I can't allow my spouse who didn't get it right today to completely and totally derail me. And that's why you have to really be anchored in the word, right? And be developing the fruit of the spirit, so that when they fall off the track, it doesn't affect you so harshly. I think that what happens is, the hurt partner tends to have magnifying glasses on. And of course, they've been hurt. They don't trust you anymore. They're looking at everything that you do. But now you are looking at all the specks that you never saw before. You see them and they look like logs. And so you see that speck and you lose control. And now everything is lost and you're emotionally distraught, or you're angry, or you're ready to call it quits. There's got to be some emotional stability. There's got to be a commitment. There's got to be this willingness to push past our daily feelings to get to the prize. There's got to be this giving of the benefit of the doubt. And that part I see missing a lot. Even when Hassani and I are working with a couple very closely, and we can co-sign, hey, they're doing a great job. Okay. We are in this with you. We are not on your side or the other. We are seeing this firsthand. And we know we've got the experience to tell you, you got a good situation here. Keep pushing. Sometimes the resistance is so high that the hurt partner can't hear it and can't see it.
That's so true. That is so true. Wow. There's so many comments and questions. Let's go to the next one. John Johnson, do you guys have any regular Christian counselors you would recommend for self-counsel? Great question. There are a lot of great Christian counselors out there. I don't know of anyone in particular. I don't know.
We're Christian.
I was trying to figure out how to say that in the best way, but yeah, we are Christian, and we actually do, because many people don't know this, because we are Couples Academy. So the assumption is all we do is marital counseling, but that's not true. We work with individuals as well. We have quite a number of clients that are looking for just individual work, whether they are married or not. So feel free to reach out to us at couplesacademy.org, set up a discovery call, and we'll make sure that we can see how we can help you. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice that the website and a phone number is scrolling. All right, let's go to the next one. I'm working on not taking my spouse's shortcomings personal. Instead, seek how I can help. How can I be the helpmeet in the situation and not shut down in my spouse's stages of anger? Wow, great question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you must have been on yesterday because you talked about the stages of anger. So if it sounds like this is the hurt partner, is that what I'm gathering? Or this is the partner that cheated?
Not sure, but
okay. I mean, it's about steadying your emotions. I mean, when you know that your spouse is going through those stages of anger, the earlier stages, that's when you want to kind of stave away. You want to let the air, flow. You want to step back, give that person some space. But even when you do that, sometimes it just doesn't work. That person actually might just want to be angry and have a moment. You've got to operate with a sense of control. I feel like this, like when I'm weak, Hassani needs to be strong, right? When I'm strong, Hassani can be a little weaker because I got you. And that's where it needs to be. We don't condone people just being angry and living in their emotions. We're trying to teach you to control your emotions and have emotional intelligence. But sometimes you can't control what your spouse does, and they're going to get angry and they're going to go through all the stages, and there's nothing that you can do about it but be the strength, right? Tap into your strength, which is maybe your spiritual strength or something that you're reading that helps you to maintain your emotions so that you're both not angry and screaming at each other and acting out of sorts.
Excellent point. We have another question here for Natural and Cute. How do you get around projecting when your spouse who has done wrong puts their infidelity and issues on you when you have not done those things? Yep. Well, we have a video that's entitled "You Will Cheat Again Unless," and it talks about the things that an individual needs to do to keep themselves from going down that path again. And one of the things you have to do is take personal responsibility for what you have done. It is so easy to point the finger. It is so easy to blame the other person. Well, the reason why I cheated is because you didn't do this and because you didn't do that. The reality is that has nothing to do with the decision. Now, understand, let me say something, and I want to put it in context because people often take it out of context. There's this blame game going around, and we shift it. So either it's all my spouse's fault who cheated, or somehow it's all the affair partner's fault who was involved with my spouse, or somehow it's all my fault. And then that's a person living in their own self-degradation. And I think having that mentality of an all or nothing approach is problematic. There are many contributing factors that create a vulnerability within a relationship for things to occur, like infidelity, like divorce. So the relational issues are one piece, but the decision to cheat is something completely different. So while the person has to take 100% responsibility for what they did, there are challenges in a relationship that can create a weakness that causes somebody to act out of their best interest and do something they shouldn't do. But a lot of times we say that there's a cheating as a result of two things: either something going on inside of the person, something going on inside of the relationship, or a combination of the two. But when a person takes no responsibility and points their finger, when you point your finger, there are three fingers pointing right back at you. So in essence, you have to look at yourself three times as hard. So a person who has been unfaithful, they have to do their own individual work. They need their own personal counseling. They need spiritual transformation. They need relational restoration. They need so much, a support system. They need to be held accountable because we all have blind spots and we all think our stuff doesn't stink. But when we have other people who could put eyes on us and show us where our faults and flaws and idiosyncrasies are, then we begin to get an understanding of, wow, I did mess up. Wow, I was off. And I think that's what needs to happen. It's self-awareness that leads to transformation, because as long as someone is oblivious or ignorant or unconscious of who they are, the possibility of it happening again is very strong. Mm-hmm. That helped a little bit.
Absolutely.
All right, we have another one. I just read that. Sorry about that. Individual counseling is as important as couples counseling, especially if your spouse is not willing to go to counseling. Yes, yes, and yes. I would highly recommend that. In fact, we work with a lot of individuals, and ultimately it transitions into couples counseling because oftentimes the spouse is waiting for some type of change. And when they begin to see shifts and changes, it increases their interest in the ability to come on board and do couples counseling. So hopefully you guys, if you're interested in counseling, reach out to us. We would love to work with you. All right, Darlene, my husband has started listening to me. We can talk about what is good for both of us, not always blaming him what he has done, but to talk about what we both can do. Thanks.
Awesome. I love it when we can do that, when couples get to that point where they are willing to let their guard down and be transparent and talk about what the problems are. You know, many couples cannot do that. It will start an argument. You will get shut down. You can't go anywhere. I love the fact that even with Hassan and I, we've had our times when we couldn't talk. Now we can come to each other with anything. And we know how to do it too. We've learned our personality styles. We know how to avoid the landmines and not say the wrong thing to trigger those, grains of sand, those inner issues, right? And so we keep those lines of communication open so that we can move past situations and problems so they don't mount and blow up in our faces later. So that is beautiful.
Sandra Johnson says personal responsibility and accountability is extremely important. You better believe it. And I think a lot of people have this, well, I'm grown. I can make my own decisions. I'm going to do what I want to do. So somehow, because we become of age, we don't need a community of support. Somehow, because we're a certain age, we don't need people to hold us accountable. We don't need to have anybody to answer to. I totally disagree with that. We all need somebody. One of the things that we say in the men's group that we have is every man needs a man, right? I'm more complete as a man because I have other men in my life who can hold me accountable. It goes back to the iron sharpening iron. And so, yes, accountability is critically important in your personal growth as well as in the restoration of your marriage. Let's go to the next one. What if in the case of there is domestic abuse, drugs involved, and infidelity as well. All those happen at the same period of time. Therefore, what should I do? Because divorce is not in my dictionary. I have seen most of your videos, including the is separation can save your marriage? All right. Should I be doing that 12 steps now? I need help. Well, elder wise, what you need to do is counseling, period. Like you can watch all the videos, and this is really for everybody. You can watch videos all day. You can read books all day. You can read blogs all day. You can talk to people all day. A lot of that is head knowledge. So you gain a tremendous amount of information and potentially inspiration to continue to go through. But sometimes you need somebody guiding you through a process. Many of you at your home, you have an office, you have a library, and you have countless books. You have books on finance, you have books on health, you have books on faith. But the reality is, as long as those words and that wisdom is trapped in a book and you don't do anything with it, it doesn't make a darn difference. And sometimes even when you want to do something with it, you need somebody outside yourself to assist you. So I would highly recommend that your first step be find somebody that can guide you both through a process that you see. And see, that's the other thing about counseling. When you're working with the counselor, both of you, you and your spouse, are now accountable to the person that you seek out for help. So right there, that's the system of accountability. And so as you begin to do that, you may realize I don't necessarily need to go into separation or divorce yet. Maybe there's some course corrections that can be made, but that's a lot that you're dealing with. I mean, domestic abuse, that's a whole nother situation that deserves some time to unpack. We don't condone being in an unsafe environment. We don't condone having your head beat in. No, that's crazy. So if it's about separating so that I can be safe, then absolutely you need to do that immediately while you begin to work on the relationship. Does that make sense, Danielle?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to the next one, Stephen. Yes, that's why my internal, and so the work needs to be done within. Yes, the work does definitely need to be done within. And when you're living from the inside out, not the outside in, you're not reactionary or responding to everything. You're proactive in your approach to get things done. I hope this is helping. People are definitely having comments, but as the questions come in, we want to be able to entertain you because Friday is all about you, where we begin to answer your questions. I tell you, when people really take to heart what it is that they're hearing and do something with it, the scripture says, don't just be a hearer of the word, but a doer of the word. When you do, that's when change and transformation begins to take place. All right, guys. So we have a couple more minutes. If there are any more questions, whatever it may be, sexuality, intimacy, communication, infidelity, divorce, whatever that may be, this is your time to do so. Because
Friday, some of the comments, there's a lot of comments in here.
Yes, we have Natural and Cute says, thank you. Sandra, true, stay humble. Yes. Then we have Natural and Cute again. How do you get them to go to counseling when they refuse? That's a very good question. Listen, the fact of the matter is you can't force somebody to do what they don't want to do. And even if you do, they'll show up with the wrong attitude, the wrong energy, and they're not going to get anything out of it. So what we've encouraged people to do, and we've seen this actually take place, when one person, the one who wants the counseling, starts and initiates the process, there is a higher probability that their spouse will come on board and join in, either because A, they're curious, what are these folks talking to my wife about? Or B, they're inspired because they're starting to see a shift and wow, okay, this is something I can believe in. So let me get on board. So I would always say if two don't want to do it, all it takes is one to begin a process.
So true. I was going to say that literally lead by example. And if they never do follow you, which most of the time they do, because they see those positive changes and they want some of that, at the very least, you get to gain a transformation for yourself. So leading by example is the way.
All right, we got two more questions and we're going to wrap this up. To help heal, do you need the betrayed person to make you feel safe again? I think that's a major part of it. I mean, so here's the deal. When we talk about forgiveness, there are 4 different types of forgiveness. There is the refusal to forgive. Then we have cheap forgiveness. Then we have acceptance. And then we have genuine forgiveness. Acceptance is when you're when you're married to an unwilling participant. So if your spouse is not willing to do anything to help your healing, you still have your personal journey. And if he is not willing to partner with you, then you need to get your healing for yourself. Now, if your partner is a part of that process, that's how we transition into what we call genuine forgiveness, because there's a system of accountability, there are conversations, there are expectations, there are things that you both do. So whether your partner is 100% on board or not, you still have your life to live and your healing to get. So get it.
Yes, I love it.
All right, last question we have here. How does the hurt partner know when to get back into lovemaking again, especially when attempted, it brings images of your spouse cheating, therefore you resent it? This deep question.
I'll end with a big one. Go.
Yeah, I'm going to start off, and Danielle, I'll let you jump in.
Okay.
Here's the reality. When an affair occurs, there is an impact on the sexual relationship of that couple. And we see a number of things happen. Number one, we see that many couples go into sex overdrive. And so literally they're having sex several times a day, every single day of the week. It's just like a sexual frenzy. And oftentimes the motivation for that is the person who was cheated on is competing somehow with the affair partner. So I'm going to make up or overcompensate for what you got from somebody else by ensuring that you get it from me. So they go into sexual overdrive, or maybe they need to feel validation. They need to feel some form of connection. They need to feel loved and appreciated and valued and honored, and they need to feel attractive. So they'll use sex, right, as a tool to get that particular feeling. But then we see other couples who go into a sexual drought, and literally their marriage becomes asexual, or they begin to experience a sexless marriage. And months go by, sometimes years go by. We were counting a couple where literally they were married for 25 years. And because of an affair, the last 10 years of their marriage, they were sexless, which is a problem within itself. So sexual overdrive is a problem, and then the sexless marriage also is a problem. But then there are those that keep their regular pace, but they're triggered. And so every time we connect, I'm thinking about this other person. What does she look like? What is her body like? Does she make love better than I do? Or is this what he liked when he was with her? Or vice versa, if it's a woman. Did they do this position? Did they do that? Well, we'll never do this again, and we'll never do that again. So it manifests in so many different ways and requires help and assistance to get you through this part, because sexual intimacy is a critically important part to really begin to work on in the context of a marriage after an affair. Danielle.
Absolutely. And then there's the responsibility of the one who did cheat to constantly, overly affirm that person, because what happens is the person that has all these thoughts and is triggered, they create stories that aren't even there because they weren't there, right? They don't know what happened. So they are going and creating stories to the ludicrous. So part of your responsibility is to assure your spouse and to affirm your spouse. But the one who's having the triggers, it is their responsibility to shut the thought down. There was this guy back in the day that he used to say, money cometh to me now. Do you remember that guy? For his name?
Leroy Thompson.
What's his name?
Leroy Thompson.
Okay. And he used to reach up and pull it down. And real talk, people, that's what you must do to get control of your thoughts, casting down every thought or imagination that rises itself up above the Lord. So if it's not righteous, if it's not holy, you are the only one that can flip the switch and turn the screen off in your mind. And it does take a tremendous amount of energy. You think about how much energy it takes to lift like 100 pounds of bell bar weight. I think you can do that easily, Hassani, but I know I would be struggling if I was trying to pump like 100 pounds like that. It is hard. It is strenuous. It's the same strenuous energy required, but it's mental energy that you have to tap into to control it and shut it down. And then once you shut it down, you must replace it with something else. And it could be a picture if that works for you. It could be words if that works for you. One thing, I was just talking to one of my colleagues who she's a mindset coach, and she says that you can literally say, stop. Now, if you're in the middle of lovemaking, you probably don't want to yell stop, but you know the thoughts that you're having, so you think it, stop. And what that does is it interrupts the neurological process of your mind, which is designed, it's in the amygdala. It is designed to protect you, right? And so it's going to remind you of what's going on, because sex is so intimate and it's opening you up, and your brain is telling you, be careful, this person hurt you. You've got to be willing to control those thoughts, shut them down, and replace them with new thoughts. That's number one. Number two, if you're struggling with intimacy, we always say this, sex without intimacy could feel like rape, right? And it could also further separate you from each other. What you can do is a sex fast. And I know somebody ain't gonna like that I'm saying it, but it's true and it works. That when you are lacking intimacy, stepping back from sex, just taking sex off the table and focusing solely on intimate things, touching, hugging, holding hands, kissing, gazing, doing romantic things. Those are the things that will help you to reconnect to the emotions and that intimacy that's missing, which will naturally lead into sex.
You are so brilliant. And you're cute too.
Thank you.
That was an amazing answer. I hope you guys are listening to what Danielle is saying, because she just unpacked and gave you the truth. When you embrace it and apply it to your life, everything begins to change in the area of your sexuality. I want you guys to listen to this again. Like there was meat in this. And I don't want this to be, oh, okay, it was just another session. Oh, okay, just another live. No, you guys need to literally re-listen, take notes, study, have conversations, right? Come up with a plan of action based upon what we're saying, and go out there and get it, because so many people are struggling in the area of sexuality. We talk about the big three: sex, money, and communication. And if you can get those three under control and master them, your life will change. Guys, listen, many of you have been asking about this, but I want to share it with you. This is the book. This is the book, The Audacity of Marriage, 10 Principles to Lifelong Partnership. If you do not have the book, go to Amazon right now and get the book, because I really believe it's going to give you, in addition, like this is a great supplement, what we do every morning, but that book is cram-packed with information and know-how and expertise on how to transform your particular relationship. So I hope that you got something out of today. I know I did. And so listen, we will see you on Monday for another great episode as we spend the entire week unpacking love. If you really want to know what love is, tune in and we'll see you then. So have an amazing weekend, and we will see you guys on Monday.
Bye.
Can bring us down, can't nothing bring us down. Our love is too high, bring us down, can't nothing bring us down. Bring us down, can't nothing